See, Oriental countries, most of the Oriental countries are Buddhist countries, but not every country is having a same culture. Like the culture in the Indonesia is a totally different, the culture in Japan is a totally different, as well as a culture in Sikkim is a totally different concept. So even if you are talking about a particular religion, so religion is again taking a different format, a different shape in a particular region. You cannot find the Islam same as a India and Islam same into the Arabia or South Africa or America or Spain. So in the Spain, you can see they have their own treatment on that particular culture. So they have their own aesthetical values. So aesthetical values are very, very critical points when you are developing the stories, because in the aesthetic, your music, your conceptions, your food, your costumes, your dance, your political conceptions, your understanding of socio-economical aesthetics, everything is there in the particular subject. When you will see the Oscar nominated foreign films, they are not similar films as a Hollywood, but these foreign films have a different kind of a aesthetic, which is a very local aesthetics. So when we say a local aesthetic, it means the particular film in Iran is recommended to the Oscar. It means that film has a particular aesthetic, particular grammar of cinema, particular look of the cinema for particular cause. So when we are talking about the world cinema, so in the world cinema, you will see the different local cultures, different culture in that particular soil in a very effective way. See, commercial cinema is a totally different idea, and the classical cinema is a totally different idea. But as a filmmaker, as a script writer, we should able to understand the difference between the classical cinema and the commercial cinema, because aesthetic of the classical cinema you can understand through the music, the particular music. So the particular classical music or the particular Western classical music or Indian classical music or Oriental music or African music, or the color schemes, the costume sense, the creative values are different in each and every region. So that's why the Indian cinema is totally different from the Hollywood cinema, and the cinema in the Europe is totally different from the cinema in the Japan or China. Now you can understand in after 2002 or after the internet boom, you can see the difference between the changing cultural values and changing aesthetical values. Because in the local village culture also, people have accepted the English word as their own vocabulary. So language and the particular dialect of the language is a culture, and your aesthetical value is based on what kind of a culture you are trying to portray in that cinema, in that particular screenplay. So content can be anything, the subject can be anything, but overall theme of the aesthetic should be decided by the screenplay writer. So if you can see the Chinese cinema or a Japanese cinema or a Korean cinema, you will see the particular Oriental aesthetical values in their cinemas, and again the modern cinema and the traditional cinema. So when you are talking about Indian cinema, again you can see the changing phases since the beginning of the 21st century. because lot of cultural exchanges is there, lot of changes in the technology, lot of changes in the conception, and there are new ideas adopted in the aesthetical values. So the classical cinema, commercial cinema, musical cinema, or a particular genre, these are the different aspects of the cinema. But as a creative person, what you have to understand is how you will develop your own sense of aesthetics. Like in Indian cinema, Satyajit Ray made a particular cinema which was talking about the reality, about the poverty, about the emotions, whereas Devdas was the film which was originally shot in 1940 decade. So the treatment and aesthetical value in the original novel is a different, and in the cinema it is different. And in last 20 years when Sanjay Leela Bhansali makes that film, so his aesthetical values of a Devdas are totally different. So that's why when you see the classical cinema, you will see the real emotions, real shades of the emotions in that classical cinema. But when you will see the commercial cinema, then you will see the marketing, the exaggeration of the emotions, exaggeration of the costumes, exaggeration of the sets. So visual look, audio look, everything is programmed. And that's why in the film aesthetics, you have to decide that whether you will go with the traditional values of the aesthetic or commercial values of the aesthetic. Because nowadays it's a age of marketing and the commercial aspects and the visual presentation. So if people are making ad films or feature films or corporate films, they have their own kind of aesthetical values which has a hidden agenda of the commerce. So that's why you can see even in the Hollywood cinema, now some characters are appearing from the India, some characters appearing from China, or some characters are appearing from Arabian country, just because of the commercial intentions, that the characters from that particular region can relate in the Hollywood cinema and they can make the huge business. That's the basic reason of how aesthetic is having a hidden agenda. And so when you will create your story, you must know that how effectively you can use the emotional values of aesthetic. Now it's a secondary thing that how you can use the commercial aspects into the development of your screenplay.